Hello, this is Lisa, and today we'll be talking about the rules for subtracting signed numbers. Subtracting signed numbers is equivalent to adding the opposite of a number. So we're going to do some examples. Our first examples, we have 3 minus 2. So we have our subtraction sign. It says subtracting is equivalent to adding the opposite. So I'm going to make this 3. Instead of subtracting, I'm going to be adding, and the opposite of 2 is negative 2. And now we can use our rules for adding signed numbers. We have numbers with opposite signs, so we keep the sign of the larger number and we subtract the larger number minus the smaller. And our final answer, we have a positive. 3 minus 2 is 1. Our final answer is 1. In example 2, we have 2 negatives here, so we have to be careful when we read this. It's negative 7 minus 8. So we're going to keep the negative 7. Minus is the same as adding the opposite. The opposite of 8 is negative 8, so we're going to be adding negative 8. The rules for adding two numbers with the same sign, negative 7 and negative 8, we keep the sign, which is negative, and add the numbers, 7 plus 8. Our answer is a negative. 7 plus 8 is 15. Final answer, negative 15. Let's look at a couple more examples. So here we have 8 minus negative 3. 8 stays the same. When we subtract, we're going to add the opposite. So we're going to add, and the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Now we have two positive numbers. We're just going to add 8 plus 3 is 11. And there's our final answer. The words and phrases we use for subtraction. We have 5 phrases altogether. We're going to look at these first 3. The difference between negative 5 and 7. The difference between and, those go together, and those tell us, the and tells us where to put the minus sign. So when we write it in algebraic form, we have negative 5 minus 7. 8 minus 2. Minus tells us where we're going to put the subtraction sign. 8 minus 2 is how we write it in algebraic form or as an expression. 12 decreased by 4. Decreased by tells us where we're going to put the minus sign. So to write it algebraically, we have 12 minus 4. Now if you notice in all of those, the order of the numbers in the phrase is the same as the order of the numbers in the algebraic expression. We want to make sure that we use the proper order with subtraction. Those 3 phrases, the order stays the same. In these next 3 phrases, in these, 2 phrases, the order will switch. So we want to be careful when we identify. I call these my special phrases because I have to be careful with the order that I write the numbers in when I translate. 9 subtracted from 3 tells me not only do I want to use the operation of subtraction, but from tells me which number goes first. So I'm going to put the 3 first. I'm switching the order. Here I have 9 and then 3. When I write it in algebraic form, 3 comes first. 6 less than 100. Less than, again, that's a special phrase. I have to switch the order. 100 minus 6. So those are 2 very special phrases, and we'll see those come up a lot, and we'll have to note when we see those phrases, that's when the numbers switch order from writing it in words to writing it in symbols. Write the following phrase as a numerical expression. Example 1 says 15 is subtracted from 9. If I underline the words that represent numbers and then circle my phrase, this one I only have one phrase, is subtracted from. That tells me I'm going to do subtraction, but that is one of my special phrases. I have to switch the order when I subtract. So I'm going to write the 9 down first minus 15. So I've switched my number order. If we look at example 2 says 7 is subtracted from the sum of 10 and negative 2. I have 7, 10, and negative 2 as my numbers. And my phrase is subtracted from the sum of and. Remember, the sum of and go together. Is subtracted from. This tells me that I want to do a subtraction, but I also want to switch the order. The sum of 10 and 2, this tells me that I'm going to put an addition sign where I have the and. Now, frequently when you have two phrases, one right next to the other, it's indicating that we want parentheses. Here I want to put parentheses around the sum of 10 and minus 2. I'm going to subtract 7 from the sum of 10 and negative 2. The sum of 10 and negative 2, that's the part that's going to go first. 10 plus negative 2. There's my sum, and then I need to subtract from it the number 7. And there's my phrase, or my numerical expression. The next examples, we're going to write the phrase as a numerical expression and simplify. 10 less than 15 plus 12. Again, I'm going to start with where all of my numbers are, and then I'm going to circle my phrases. Less than, plus. Here, less than, again, we're going to subtract. That's one of our special phrases, so we have to switch the order when we subtract. And plus, we're going to have an addition sign there. Now, notice we don't have any two phrases together. We're going to switch just the two things that are on either side of that phrase, less than. So I'm going to start with 15 minus 10. Then I have plus 12. So there the order stays the same. Plus 12. When we're adding, we can just do the order straight across. Now we have to simplify. When we simplify, we want to remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS. We add and subtract from left to right. 15 minus 10 is 5, and then we add 12. 15 plus 12 is 17. And there's my final answer. Example 2 says the difference between 15 and 3 is added to the sum of 5 and 2. Again, I'm going to underline all of my numbers, and then I'm going to go back and circle all of my phrases and words. The difference between and. Remember, those two phrases go together. The difference between and tells us where we're going to put the subtraction sign, is added to, and then we have the sum of 5 and 2. Remember, sum of and, that tells us we're going to put an addition sign where we have and. Again, I have two phrases that are right next to each other. Added to the sum of means I'm going to put that sum in parentheses. So what we have, the difference between 15 and 3. We have 15 minus 3, and then is added to tells us to use a plus sign there. Parentheses are sum, 5 plus 2. Now, the parentheses aren't really necessary here because we have plus signs on either side of that. PEMDAS tells us we're going to add and subtract. Whoops, forgot my D. PEMDAS. We're going to add and subtract from left to right, doing the addition inside parentheses first. So 15 minus 3 plus, parentheses, 5 plus 2 is 7. Left to right, 15 minus 3 is 12, plus 7 gives me 19. And there's my final answer. The video will end now. You should do the homework for section 1.2 in your MyLabs Plus course. When you finished your homework with at least an 80%, then you can do the quiz for section 1.2. I recommend, though, that you try to get the highest grade that you can on your homework. You should be aiming for 100%. Remember that you can go back and rework problems. If you've gotten them wrong the first time, you can go back and redo them until you get them correct. So shoot for 100% on the homework. Have a good afternoon. This is Lisa, and I'll be seeing you for section 1.3.